Hello everyone, you're welcome. So today I want to show you how to draft a shirt pattern. Okay, so I'll be using paper to show you how to draft a shirt pattern. So I'm doing this so that it will be very clear to you. Okay, now whatever I'll be doing on this paper can be done directly on your fabric. You can draft directly on your fabric, but there are times you'll be needing paper. When you want to create certain designs, you'll be needing your paper, because you have to first of all draft on the paper slash then you place on the fabric. But for just the shirt pattern, you can use your paper without folding it. So I'll fold my paper just to show you. Now you would want to know what size of fabric to fold, just in case you're drafting directly on fabric. This is what you will do. The biggest measurement, that is the biggest circumference, be it the chest for children, the bust for adults, female, okay, then if it's a shirt dress, the hip. So the biggest circumference divide by 4, okay, plus if it's for children, you add 4.5. If it's for adults, you add 5. So this 4.5 and 5 is for the button stand and buttonhole placket. Then 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. So I hope this is clear. For children, you add 4.5. For adults, you add 5. So I would go ahead and draft and you see what I'm doing. So I'll be drafting for a child. Now, the chest of the child is 29 inches. Divide by 4, that is 7.25. Then I'll add 4 inches. Okay, that is 4.5 inches. And that is 11.75. So, like I said, you want to know the length of fabric to place on fold. By the time you have added all this together, I have 11.75. But I will fold my fabric beyond that, so that I'll have a little space to cut out from. Okay, so since I have 11.75, I can fold at 12.5. So all you do, just measure. So I need to fold a little more. So I have enough there now. Okay, so this is it. So by the time you have placed your fabric or your paper on fold, you need to mark out the buttonhole and button stand placket allowance. So like I said, for children, we have added 4.5. Now, from this 4.5, 2.5 inches will be for the buttonhole and button stand. Okay, 2.5 for children. For adults, it is 3 inches. So what you do, at this part of the folded fabric, you mark 2.5. You mark your 2.5. So I'm making this for a child. So I'm just marking the 2.5 all the way down so that I can draw a straight line. Now I'll draw a straight line, and this will be for my buttonhole and button stand. Okay, so I have it there. Now that I have marked out my buttonhole and button stand, at this top I would mark 1 inch. So just mark 1 inch. From this 1 inch, we'll be taking our shoulder seam allowance. Okay, so just mark 1 inch, and you'd also make a line. So I have it there. Now I would place the length of my shirt. But before doing that, when you're making shirt, the front panel would be shorter than the back, and we are taking away 1.5 inches from the front. So you take away 1.5 inches, and that 1.5 inches will be added to the back. Okay, to be added to the back, because you need it at the back to lap over, that is to come over the front at the shoulder, like we see in our shirts. So we'll be taking away 1.5. So you take away 1.5 and you place the length of the shirt, and this is what I'll do. You place your 1.5 from this starting point. This up line here is the starting point. So you place your tape at 1.5. Then you take the length of the shirt. So the length of the shirt is 22 inches. Then I'll add 1 inch for hemming. So that is 23. I'll mark at 23. I would also place the points at this area to help me make a straight line. So remember, you have to take away 1.5 and you mark it. Now I would draw a straight line, and this is my length. This is the length of the shirt. Okay, so I have it there. So this is the length of the shirt. Now I will place my shoulder measurement. Whatever circumference or other measurements you'll be placing would come from after this placket allowance, from here. So my shoulder measurement, the shoulder is 14 inches. Okay, so 14 divided by 2, that is 7 inches. I would also add half inch for joining the sleeve, so that is 7.5. So I'll place my tape here and I'll mark 7.5. Okay, so that is it. Then at that 7.5, I would come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, and I have it there. Then I'll draw the line to get to this point. So this is my shoulder slant or shoulder slope. Okay, now I would place the armhole. If you notice, while measuring the child, I didn't measure the round armhole. That was not necessary. So when you're drafting, the measurement you place as your shoulder measurement, that is the same measurement you place as your armhole length. Very, very accurate. Okay, it is very, very accurate. So that's, see, it's in simple terms, your armhole length is the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. Okay, so that is what it means. Now when you're placing the armhole length, you still need to take off that 1.5 inches. Okay, so you place your tape from the shoulder slope, you take away 1.5. You can see I'm placing it at 1.5. Then you place the armhole length. Okay, so when you want to place your armhole length, you take away that 1.5 inches, then you place your armhole length. Like I said, the armhole length is the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. So it's just exactly the measurement you placed here as your shoulder measurement. Now you connect the points. So I have connected the points. So the next thing is also extend it here, like so. Okay, so we would find the midpoint of our shoulder line. Sorry, we'll find the midpoint of our armhole line. And finding the midpoint, you still need to place your tape at that 1.5. But first of all, you find the midpoint using your tape. And you just fold your tape at that 7.5, and this is the midpoint. So to place this midpoint, I still have to take away this 1.5. So place it like so, and I'll mark the midpoint, and this is it. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now at this midpoint, you come in by half inch, because the front armhole should be deeper than the back armhole. So half inch is okay. Then you connect it to this point. Just connect it here. Then at this part, at this side, okay, you place the chest measurements divided by 4. Okay, so the chest measurement divided by 4 is 7.25. Then I'll add 1 inch for ease so that the shirt will not be tight. Okay, so adding 1 inch. So you can use either 1 inch or 2 inches depending on how big you want the shirt to be on the child. Okay, sometimes you want oversized shirt for children because they grow very fast, but 1 inch is still okay. So like I said, sorry, you're placing your measurement from this line. Okay, from this line you're placing your measurement. So what I will place here, like I said, the chest measurement divided by 4, okay, plus 1 inch. So what I'll have is 8.25. And this is it here. Okay, so that is it. Then I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. So that is it here. Okay, and I have it. Now I can make my armhole. So using your French curve, or you can even do this with your free hand. So you just connect to this point, and this is the armhole curve. Okay, now we have gotten almost everything. We'll place our shoulder seam allowance. That is, this shoulder seam allowance is for joining the shirt at the shoulder. So what we need to place from here, you mark ½ inch up. So just take everything step by step. So you just come up by ½ inch, and on this at this point too, you come up by ½ inch and have it there. So what you will do next is just to connect the points. So just connect. Okay, you have it here. So by the time you have connected it, also connect it here. So this is the shoulder seam allowance. This is the allowance for joining the shirt at the shoulder. That is it. Now we would also extend this measurement here. So like I said, for children, the shirt measurement, the chest is used all through the shirt, or the tummy, depending on how big or how fat the child is. So the measurement I have here is also what I would place here. That is 9 points. Okay, let's measure it again. Yes, 9.25. That is 9¼ So that is what you also use here. Okay, then you connect. So this is the shirt and the seam allowance together. So sometimes you might decide to leave your shirt straight at this damp side, and sometimes you might want it curvy. So depending on what you want. So if you want it curvy, this is how to go about it. At this point, just come up by either 1 or 2 inches depending on how curvy you want it to be. So I will use 2 inches. So just come up by either 1 or 2 inches. Then you just connect it back to this point, okay, or to this line. Just connect it to midway of this line. Just, let me go with my chalk first of all, so that I don't have double lines. So just go this way. Okay, so now I would use my marker to trace it so that you can see it properly. So you can see the shape I have here. Okay, so you can see it. Don't mind the double lines here. So this is it. So you can see the shape of the shirt. So you can decide to go this way or you leave it straight, depending on whatever you want. So now our front panel is ready. All we need to do now is to cut it out. Then we'll also cut out the back. Okay, so just follow the line and you cut it out. So at the shoulder, remember, you have to also cut following your shoulder seam allowance. So you also extend it to this end here. So we have it here. So this is the front panel of our shirt. So now we'll be cutting the back panel. Okay, so now we'll be cutting the back. Okay, so you would use the front to cut the back, but what you do is this: you place the back panel on fold. Then for the front, you have to fold in this placket allowance because you don't need it for the back, so you just fold it in. Then you use it to trace out for the back. Now for the back panel will be longer than the front. The back panel would be longer than the front. Remember the 1.5 inches we took away from the front, we would add it to the back, including the back 1.5. So in order not to confuse you, the back panel should be longer than the front panel by 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches. So it is just standard. So by the time you are cutting, make sure the back panel is longer, and let me show you how to go about that. So by the time you have folded the placket allowance, you place your front panel like so. Just place it. Then you measure 3.5 inches from the top. Okay, you measure 3.5 inches from the top. So you make sure your paper is not moving, and in order to make sure of that, you can use a paper tape to hold it down. So you just place it wherever you feel that you can have 3.5 at the top. So as you fold, you just fold this one. Okay, so this is it. So you place it. So you can measure to see if you have 3.5. Yes, I have 3.5. So I'll place my front panel like so, and I'll hold it down with paper tape so that it doesn't move while I am marking my 3.5 to get the back panel. So I have it in place now. So what I'll do is this: from this point, from this side, I would mark 3.5. Okay, so you can do that from every side of the top. Then you come here, you also mark 3.5. Then you connect it. So I have it here. So just connect. Okay, you have it here. Then you also connect it at the shoulder up like so. Now remember that at the front panel we came in by 1/2 inch. So let me just remove this and place it somewhere else. At the armhole, we came in by 1/2 inch to cut the front because the front armhole is deeper than the back armhole. Now that's 1/2 inch, you need to bring it out for the back armhole. So you come out by 1/2 inch. Okay, now you connect your back armhole like so from that 1/2 inch. So just place your curve like so, making sure that the curve passes through that 1/2 inch and gets to this top. Okay, and gets to this top like so. So this is it. So that is our back armhole. Okay, so now having done this, you cut out the back panel. So every other thing remains the same. So you just cut it out. Okay. So make sure that it is still in place. You cut out. So I have it cut out here now. Now the next thing is to cut our neckline. Remember I told you we'll be cutting the back and the front neckline together. So to do that, this is what you do. This is the back panel. Just fold it over. Fold it over to meet this line. Okay, so you just fold it like so. You can see what I have here. Now you can hold this down. If you're cutting on fabric, You can use your pin to hold it down here. You can still use paper tape to hold it down. Okay, so you just hold it down there. Now by the time you have held it down, you turn this one and you trim out this excess here. You don't need it. Just trim it out carefully. Okay, now this is what we have. So we'll be placing the neckline. Now for children, the standard neckline is 2 by 2 inches. That is 2 inches for the width and 2 inches for the depth. While for adults is 3 inches for the width and 3 inches for the depth. But sometimes you might want to use the formula to get this, because the 2 inches might be too much for a baby if you're making a shirt for a baby. Okay, so that is why sometimes we use the formula for neckline and shirt, the formula for shirt neckline, which is the round neck measurement divided by 6. Okay, so the round neck measurement divided by 6. Whatever you get, you place the exact figure here. Then you add ½ inch to it and you place it as the width, as the depth. Okay, so that is it. So for example, the neck line, the neck roundness, that is neck measurement for this child, is 14 inches. So if I want to go by the standard, I will use, that is the standard neckline, I'll use 2 inches for the width and 2 inches for the depth. But if I use the formula is 14 inches, that is 14 divided by 6. That will give me 2.3. So you can see that 2.3, and I'll place the 2.3 here. Then for the width, I'll add ½ inch. So by the time I add half to 2.3, that is 2.3 plus 0.5, that will be 2.8 inches. Okay, that will be 2.8. So that is still okay. So it depends on what you want. Using this formula will give you a good neckline, a good neck to place your shoulder, to place the collar, and it will not be too tight there. Okay, so using the standard is still okay, but I'll go by this formula. Okay, the reason you need this formula is this: all children neckline are not the same. You have some fat children with fat neck, so it's usually better you use their round neck measurements and this formula. Okay, that is the round neck measurement divided by 6 than just using 2.2. That is 2 by 2. You might use the 2 by 2 and the neck will be tight. The neckline will be tight for the child. So when you measure the neckline the way I showed you, divide it by 6 inches. Whatever you have, you place it at the width here. Then you add ½ inch to it and place at the depth. So like I said, I have 2.3. This is 2.3, close to 2.5. So just place it. So I'll mark 2.3 for my depth, for my width. Then for the depth, 2.08. That is 2.3 plus 0.5. Remember, you add 0.5 inch. That is ½ inch. And I have it here. Okay, so that is it. So what I'll do, also make sure that this side is up to your 2.3. So this is it here. Now I would connect. I would just connect it like so. Then come over this side. So you can see it. Okay, so you go this way and you mark this way. So just make sure it is straight. So this is the neckline. Now we would cut. So to cut, you don't just cut it the way it is. You're going to make a sort of C shape, okay, like C that is facing this side. From this top, just make a C shape. There are two ways of doing this. So just take it this way. What you do, just make a C shape, okay, cutting over this like so. Then you come to this side also, you cut in like this. Okay, it is simple, just follow it. So I don't want to confuse you by creating extra. Just follow this method I'm giving you like so, okay, and you just mark it. So just like C shape that is facing the other side. So by looking at it, you have seen what I did there, and you can do it. Okay, so this is how to create the neckline. Just form a C shape. Now we'll cut. So to cut, make sure you lift the front panel at this point. You can see what I'm doing. You lift, you don't place your scissors and you cut both the back and the front. No, make sure you lift the front panel and you put your scissors and cut from there, leaving the back for now. You only get at the back at this side. At this side, that is where you get at the back. You cut from the front, you come this way, and you cut open this way. But from here, make sure you remove, you separate the back, because if you cut from the back, you have spoiled it. Okay, so you lift your front and you start cutting, and you go this way. You just follow the C shape or the C mark you made. Okay, and you go this way like so. Carefully, and you cut like so, and you have it there. So this is just it. This is simply how to make the shirt neckline. Very, very easy. So now you can open it up and see what you have there. So open it up. You can see the front and the back. Okay, and our shirt is formed. You can see the way it's already looking like the shirt. The normal way the shirt, the back shoulder comes over to the front like so, and that is it. Then for the front panel, you have to cut it open. You have to cut it open the way we cut our zipper allowance, just to make your buttonhole and button placket. So just cut out this excess here. You don't need it. Okay, so have it there. So have it there. Now just cut it open at the center. So have it there. So by the time you cut it open, you notch. You just make a notch at this point here. Okay, and at this point here. So actually this is done on fabric. I'm just showing you this. Okay, this is when you're actually sewing on fabric, but I decided to show you everything, and that's why I have placed my paper on fold. Now this is our back. So you can see the back shirt. You can see it, and this is the front like so. You have it. Okay, so remember that this is your button placket and buttonhole placket. For male shirts, the buttonhole is at the left hand side. Then for female shirts, the buttonhole is at the right hand side. So you have to place your shirt, okay, position your shirt in such a way that you would know the left and the right. So I'm making this shirt for a boy. Okay, it's for a boy. That is to say, this side is the buttonhole. This side is the buttonhole. So to fold, so you have to fold, and as you fold, you iron it down. So that is for when you're doing making it on your fabric. So by the time you fold by that ½ inch, the remaining 1 inch you fold in to meet your notch. Okay, to meet the notch you made. And this is our button hole. This is the button hole placket. Then for the button stand, you do the same thing. So since it is like this, it means that this is the right side of the shirt. So on the wrong side, you fold in by the 1/2 inch. Okay, then you fold also. So I'm taking this to be the right side of the shirt. Okay, so we have it here. You have it here. You place it at the armhole. The armhole is your guide. The armhole is your guide, because you don't just come up like this. So the armhole is your guide. Then this will come over like so, and at this side, remember, this will overlap. By the time you button it, it will overlap this one like so. Okay, so this is the we're making for a boy. So this is the button hole, and here is the button. So it will go this way. The button will go under, and the button hole will be on top like so. Then the shoulder wrapping will come this way. You join the shoulders, and you join the shoulders too. So by the time you have joined, everything will be relaxed. So this is just paper. So you can see our shirt is already formed. This is simply how to draft our shirt pattern. So now I'll show you how to draft the collar and the sleeve. Okay, I want to show you how to draft your shirt collar. So by the time you have joined your shirt, you would measure the neckline. That is, by the time you have joined it to the back, what you would do, you measure the neckline all round from the back to the front. Okay, that is, you measure from the back, that is, you measure from the front like so, and back to the front. And what you have there should be 2 inches longer than the neckline you took on the person. This is the reason. The plackets, remember, I'll have 1 inch placket here, 1 inch here. So this 2 inches placket has added to the neckline, so that by the time you button the shirt, okay, this overlaps this, it will go back to the normal neckline. So you can see this. So by the time you have joined your shirt and you don't have the neckline being 2 inches extra or being 2 inches longer than the neckline you took on the person, then you have to do some adjustments. Now the neckline of this child is 14 inches. So what I should have here, by the time I join at the shoulder and measure round, I should have at least 16 inches. Okay, or thereabout 16. So I'll be using 16 inches to make my collar. So to make your collar, you have to place your fabric on fold. And note that to make collar, you don't draft on fabric. You don't cut your collar first of all on fabric. You cut on interfacing. So with the interfacing, you cut on the main fabric. So what you do, you place your interfacing on fold. Like I said, the neckline will be 16 inches after joining and measuring it round, 16 inches. So by the time you have placed your interfacing on fold, you would measure 8 inches. That is 16 inches divided by 2, right? That is 8 inches. So that is the length of interfacing you should fold, and even a little bit extra to be able to cut out your collar. So after folding, you just draw a straight line on the interfacing. Then on this straight line, you place the 8 inches. So that is 16 divided by 2. You place the 8 inches and you mark it. Okay, you also mark the midpoint of this 8 inches. So whatever you have as the half of your neckline, you also find the midpoint. So since it's 8 inches, the midpoint will be 4 inches. So I'll just mark at 4 inches, and there it is. Okay, so by the time you have found the midpoint, you come here at this part, at this point where you marked 8 inches, you come up by 1 inch. So we're making the collar stand. So you come up by 1 inch and you connect it to these midpoints. So you just connect, okay? So by the time you have connected, you still have to measure this new line to be sure it is 8 inches, because sometimes it goes longer. So what you do, just place your 8 inches, or you measure this way. Just measure this way, like so. Like so. Careful while you're measuring it, you don't rush. And wherever you have your 8 inches, you mark it. So you can see it's a bit longer. So this is my 8 inches, okay? Now, from this point, still come up by 1 inch. So the collar stand should be 1 inch. Okay, so you mark 1 inch here, and you also mark 1 inch here, okay? So now you connect these points, okay? You start by connecting this one here, like so. Then you come here, you also connect to this point. Then you connect to this point. Okay, so this is our collar stand, but it's not yet done. Here we need to make a curve. So you can just come in by 1/2 inch, then you curve it. So you just make a curve. Okay, so you see, it's just make a curve like so, and that is it. So this is our collar stand. Now we want to make the top collar, the other collar. So what you do is just to draw a straight line at the top of this collar stand, but let it not touch it. Just draw a straight line close to it, like so. Okay, then at this part where you have this curve, you can come in by 1/2 inch, because our main collar, that is the top collar, does not really get to that point. So you can just come in by 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is okay. So when you have that 1/2 inch, you also trace it up to this line. So you just trace it up to that line, and you have it. So for children's collar, the top collar is usually 2.5 inches, okay? For children's collar, the top collar is usually 2.5 inches. And for little children, like babies of 1 year and so, you use 2 inches. So it is not really nice if you have a small shirt and the collar is so big. So for children of about 12 and so, you use 2.5. For adults, you use 3 inches. Then for babies, you use 2 inches. So I'm using 2.5 here. So you just come up by 2.5. Okay, so you see what I mean? You just come up by 2.5. Then at this other side, this side is usually shorter. You take 2 inches. So it's shorter by 1/2 inch. So for adults, if you're using 3 inches here, you use 2.5 here. Now, I have made this point. You see at this point where we came up by 2.5, just extend it, that is, come out by 1 inch. Okay, so it depends on what you want. You can make it 1.5, depending on how sharp and how slanty you want the collar to be. But 1 inch is just okay. Then you extend it from here, you mark up, then you also mark from there to this point, and you have your collar. So we have our collar here. So the next thing is just to cut it out. This is the collar stand, this is the main collar. So you just cut, and as you cut, when you get to this point, curve it a little bit. You don't want it sharp there. Okay, so you just go this way, just cut sharp and curve it a little bit at that point. Then you also come here, you just cut out this one and turn it. Just follow the curve. Okay, then so this is our collar stand. So this is it. Now we cut out the main collar. have it there. So this is our collar and the collar stand. So you cut this on your interfacing. So this is our collar. You can see how beautiful it is. So that is it about making or drafting your collar. So now let's make the sleeve, but subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so, okay? All right, welcome back. I want to show you how to draft the basic sleeve for our shirts. So I'll be drafting a short sleeve and it is very simple. So what you do is place your paper or fabric on fold, and what is the length you should place. Now remember the armhole length we used on our shirt was 7.5. okay, so that's 7.5 plus 1 inch, that is 8.5. so you place your paper on 8.5 plus your seam allowance. You need to join the sleeve, so that will be 9.5. so you place your paper on 9.5. okay, so that is it. Now you have placed your paper on fold. If you don't have an even edge, like you can see one side is longer than the other, what you will do is just to draw a straight line at the top. okay, just draw a straight line, and from this top you place your sleeve length, how long you want your short sleeve to be. So I want 9 inches for this child, so 9 inches is the sleeve length plus 1 inch for hemming, so that is 10 inches. okay, so I mark at 10 inches, and I also make the point here so that I can draw a straight line. So I'll draw a straight line. So now this is the length of my sleeve. Now in making a basic sleeve, there's something called sleeve caps height. okay, so that's the sleeve caps height. You actually don't measure it on the person. It has a formula. For an adult female, what you do is the bust circumference divide by 12 plus 0.5. okay, then for men or for children that don't have bust, what you do, you use their chest measurement, that is their round chest, divide by 12 plus 0.5. okay, so in this case this child's chest measurement is 29 inches. So 29 divided by 12 plus 0.5 is 2.9. okay, 2.9. so 2.9 is just close to 3. So that is the sleeve caps height. And where do you place the sleeve caps height? You measure from this point. So you just measure from this point and you place your sleeve caps height. So this is 2.9. okay, then you draw a straight line there. So I'm just making another point so that I can draw my line. So this is the caps height, the sleeve caps height. Now on this line of the sleeve caps height, you would place the armhole length. okay, so the armhole length plus 1. So usually you can take 1 or half. That's 1 or half is just for ease, and it is better it is longer. When you join, you can trim it, okay, than for it to be short. So I'll take 1 inch. So my armhole length is 7.5 plus 1 inch, that is 8.5. so I'll mark my 8.5 there. okay, now at this 8.5, just draw a line to this point like so. Sorry, my marker is floating. So just draw a line to this point the way you have seen me do. That is the way I have done. okay, so by the time you draw this line, you measure the line. Just measure the line and find the midpoint. So what I have here is 9 inches and the midpoint is 4.5. okay, so 9 inches, the midpoint of 9 inches is 4.5. At this 4.5, you just come up by ½ inch. okay, that is at that midpoint, come up by ½ inch, and that is it. So when you have come up by ½ inch, what you will do is this: you make a curve from the top of that ½ inch to this point. So you just make a curve like so from that point to this edge here. So just make a curve, okay? Then by the time you have made a curve, just draw this one straight to meet this side. Just straight, like so, okay? Then after doing this, from this down point here now, you also make a curve to this edge also. So I'll explain all this to you. So you just make a curve to this edge here. Then from here, you also make a curve down. So just follow it step by step. In case you don't know how to make a basic sleeve, just follow it. This is how to make a basic sleeve, both for shirts and any other dress. Now I will explain this. You see this upper curve, this side, this is the back side of the sleeve. The side that will be at the back side of the sleeve, that is back side of the shirt. Why this inner one, and that is also curvy here, is the front side of the sleeve. Just as the shirt is deeper, the armhole of the shirt is deeper in the front panel, that is how the sleeve would also be deeper at the sleeve. That is the front side of the sleeve would also be deeper than the back side of the sleeve. And when we are cutting, we'll first of all cut out the back, then we'll open it up, then cut the front. So you see me do that. Now we have done this. The next thing is to place our seam allowance, okay, and the round sleeve. So for the round sleeve, what I have here is 13 inches. So 13 inches divided by 2, that is 6.5 inches, okay? So I'll mark my 6.5 inches. I have it here, okay? Now remember I added my hem allowance, which is 1 inch. So actually that should be marked separately, okay? So this is the main length of the shirt. So there's a reason for this, and I'll explain. This is the main length of the shirt, and this is the seam allowance, okay? So now you connect from this point to the round sleeve. Then we have not added the seam allowance yet. So this is just the actual sleeve. It should come this way. Now you see why I separated the seam, the hem allowance, because you are to go this way not when cutting the hem allowance. Make your guys slant it. So the reason for this is by the time you're folding it, it would match up, and I will show you that. So by the time you have slanted it that way, now we'll be placing our seam allowance, 1 inch seam allowance. So you mark 1 inch from here, you place your 1 inch from here, seam allowance. You also come here, you place your 1 inch, okay? So don't mind this extra, it's just there. Now you connect. You still connect this one like so, and you also slant this one like so. Now we can cut. So when you have finished drafting your sleeve and you have excess fabric or excess paper, what you will do, you fold it before cutting your sleeve. Fold it at the main allowance here. You fold it at the main, that is, you fold it at the main length of the sleeve, okay? At the main length, the original length of the sleeve, you fold it there. Then by the time you have folded it there, you now cut. So just cut this way, okay? So you can see what I'm doing. You just cut. Then remember you have to cut the back first. Cut the back first, like so. So remove it. Now you can open this up. You open it up and you can cut out the allowance. So you see what we have here. So number one, the reason for slanting it this way and the reason for bending it is this. By the time you want to sew your allowance, if you had cut it straight, and if you had cut it straight, if you fold, it would have gone this way. It wouldn't have matched up with the full round sleeve. You can see. Okay, so that is why you need to extend this and you need to fold it before cutting, so that when you fold your seam, when you fold your hemming allowance, you can see it will just match up. You can see it, then you stitch on it. Okay, then you stitch on it. But if you had cut it straight, this is where it will stop. This is where it would have stopped, and what happens to the rest? So that is it. Now that I have cut out this, the next thing is to open it up. You open it up, then you cut out the front. Okay, so this side is the back and this side now is the front. So just follow the front marking, that is this deeper one, and you go this way, and you have the front. So you can see how beautiful our sleeve is. So this is the basic sleeve for our shirts. Then I would also show you how to cut the long sleeve. That will be in the paid class, how to cut the long sleeve, make the curve, make the placket and all that. So for short sleeve, this is it. There's the front side of the sleeve, there's the back side. So this will be attached to our shirt. So this will be attached to our shirt. You know, the shirt is not yet joined. So by the time you join your shirt, you have the real or the length of the armhole. Then you join your sleeve to it. Okay, so by the time you have joined your sleeve, get to this point, you sew. You can see. So when you have joined your sleeve to your shirt, after joining the shoulder, you will sew your sleeve to the shirt. By the time you get to this point, this is your sewing allowance. Remember, this is sewing allowance. You then sew. Okay, and the shirt also has its own 1-inch sewing allowance, and you sew. So this is it about our shirt pattern, the sleeve and the collar. So thank you so much for watching. And if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, do well to hit on that subscribe button below, and also turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my videos. I'll be showing you videos on how to cut this shirts on fabric. Okay, we'll be making shirts from start to finish, and I have so many other videos I'll be uploading, so you have a lot to learn from this channel on DIYs, sewing tutorials, fashion tips, styles, and many other things. So subscribe and also turn on the notification bell. Don't forget to give this video a like. Thank you for all your support. See you in my next video. Bye.